What's up? What's up? What's up? We're almost ready to go. We're almost ready to go. Let's see what's going on here. Alright. Go here. Alright, the picture looks fuzzy as shit. Hold on, let me see what's going on with that. That ain't supposed to be fuzzy. Why is that so fuzzy? Who wasn't touching my camera? Alrighty. Let's do this. Oh yeah, that's better. That's a lot better. Make sure you can hear me. All right. Boom. Boom. And checking connection. The connection's good, baby. All right. Hopefully, you don't lose me. Because today I actually wanted to come on to have a couple of conversations, so to speak. But I'm gonna start off with something because a lot of times people don't think I'm reading these comments. And most of the time I just take different days to actually go out and respond to my comments. So welcome everybody on Facebook, welcome everybody from YouTube, welcome everybody from Instagram, and welcome from everybody from Periscope and Twitter. So today I'm going to start off this conversation with one of the comments that I had, and I'm going to give you a response because I am going to respond to these on the site. And the question that was given to me, actually the statement that was made. And understand how I'm going to respond to this. I understand how I'm going to get this back to you. So the context is what I would need to do with my channel and what I'm doing as my subject. So what you need to do is stop pointing out what people do wrong and start writing up examples of how to do it right. Show examples of the documents that has problems and rewrite and show people how to do them. Now, here's the great part about this. I appreciate that comment. I really do. The problem I have with that comment is I offered almost 4 months ago an opportunity for everyone to have access to that because I'm not going to put that on YouTube for free. I'm not doing it. Then I go back and I look at the fact that I have almost 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? And I have 5,000 on Facebook. I have shit on one other platform, about 400,000 people that follow. Okay, great. I appreciate all that. The problem I have with that is the simple fact that less than 40 people actually donate to me. Have almost 5,000, less than 40 donate to me. And then the majority of people that are asking me to do something or give me direction or saying I'm not doing something correctly are the people that are donating the least, if they're donating at all. So when we talk about something I should be doing, you had an opportunity to join Patreon 4 months ago for $20 fucking a month to get access to that. You chose not to do it. Why? Because I know the 5 people that signed up. Because I send them these emails directly. These are the people that are winning their cases directly because they're doing what they're being told. Why? Because they're willing to pay for it. Because they don't expect somebody to sit around and just say, hey, give me. Because my answer to that is fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Because most of the people that I give something to, they don't follow it. And then when they lose, they want to get upset with me because they are incapable of following instructions. And the one thing I do is give it to you so simple even a child can understand. And if you're not able to follow along, even the context of everything that I'm giving it to you by a means of simplicity. I give it to you in small antidotes so where you can actually understand the basics. Now, to give you more context on that, it's the simple fact when you go and you can ask anybody that is currently practicing as an attorney. They went to school for 6 years, right? Each year culminated with 100 hours of study. Each one of those hours of study culminated with a fee. So now, let me back up. This is my second year doing this. I have a channel with less than 200 hours of actual study. So if I'm telling you that someone that actually currently practices statutes, codes, and ordinances or works as an attorney, they have 600 hours. And I'm telling you what I've shown you is less than 200 hours. How are you expecting to get here without going here? Because again, as I've said before, if you're looking for that instant rice, this ain't it, because I cook meals here. I give you something with substance, which is why I don't put up something every day, because I don't just want to talk to you about, oh, look at me, because I don't care less about how I look. I don't like looking at me. I don't like listening to my voice. I don't like editing this shit. I don't like doing a whole lot of things. But I want you to understand that, oh shit, I'm touching too much, and I've said this before, there are procedures to everything you do. There's a level of discipline that needs to go along with everything that you're doing. So if you're not applying discipline, even your learning, how is it that you're going to have context in anything that you're doing? I'm going to say that one more time. If you can't apply discipline in what you're learning, how are you going to apply discipline in anything you're doing? So if I give you a cheat code, if you don't know how to play the game, that cheat code means nothing. You're still going to lose. If you don't understand the basics or the fundamentals of this, how are you going to win? Because you still don't understand the language. You don't even understand how what you have in front of you applies. So giving you something without substance does you no good. And it actually wastes your time as well as mine. Which is, again, why when someone has to sacrifice and pay for it, that's when different shit happens. Because I've given you the story of the young woman who was not able to do anything. She wasn't able to pay. However, she made it her business to send me $20 every 2 weeks. She didn't have no goddamn money, but she sent me $20 every 2 weeks. She still got help. She was still willing to be focused and start moving forward. That's great. But then I didn't give you the story about the young man who was homeless. He asked me for help, and I told him, no, I'm good. I appreciate it, but no, I'm good. That young man managed to come up with $10 here, $15 here, and that young man now is on his feet. He is still donating to this day. He is winning cases to this day. Why? Because he's able to follow along and continue moving forward, because he's willing to make the sacrifice and show appreciation, which 90% of the people that are asking me to do something or telling me what I should do aren't doing. So, with that being said, I'm actually going to do a show on the cost of what I'm giving you. The legal profession, what is it costing you? What are your benefits? Because I always ask everybody before I help them, what is it you're willing to sacrifice? And what is it that you're looking for? The problem is nobody wants to sacrifice. Everybody wants everything easy. Which is why I told you I don't do anything fast. I don't do a microwave. If you need microwave, go watch somebody else. This ain't for you. If you want something faster, this ain't for you. Because even I put up a Patreon a couple days ago. Guess how many new subscribers I have for Patreon? 0. So again, when you're asking me these questions and you made these offers and if you're not doing these offers, if you're not taking advantage of these offers, fuck you. That's where I'm at with it. If you have an issue with anything that I'm giving you, stop watching it. It's that fucking simple. Because as far as I'm concerned, you can kiss my ass with your tongue out, because I don't care nothing else about that. But the simple fact that you think you're entitled for something from me and you're doing nothing to benefit me, I'm not going to give you any extra time just because I like you. Because I don't. Because anytime somebody's making a donation, it's for the improvement of this channel. It's for the growth of the brand. It's for me to turn around and look at my children, my young lady that I'm dealing with, and say, yeah, I got to do some work. That's what that's for. Because I can't do this if there's no income coming in. I can't do this if there's no benefit from it. I can't do this just because because again, when I was just doing it for the message, y'all got one video a week, sometimes two, because again, it's done on free time. But that time isn't free. That was completely time I didn't do shit, didn't have shit to do, didn't care about anything, didn't do any of this. But that's what this is. Understanding what the next level of this is. Now, as I'm growing, yeah, demand kind of changes. Because yes, I'm going to still offer the free stuff. Yes, I'm still going to offer application. But again, you still have to understand there's 600 hours that's needed to even get ready to actually be professed. Now, mine was kind of forced into 18 months, and it was 18-hour days, 20-hour days, to where I was able to learn this. And then I was forced with my life on the line to learn how to practice this. So when we're talking about I should do something for free, yeah, go somewhere else. Because if you want something for free, I can't get it to you, because I'm not going to get it to you. Because this is what's free. YouTube is free. And here's the even greater part about that. I'm going to offer other aspects through a membership on the channel, on YouTube. That's not free. Because I found doing something for somebody that has no sacrifice, doing something for somebody for free gets me fucked, not you. Because you don't appreciate anything you don't have to sacrifice for. Anything worth its salt is worth the work. If you're not even willing to, because here's the great part about it. The person that asked this question or made the statement, I actually had offered help to. The person that I gave this to did not follow instructions. The person that made the statement did not win their case. So then to ask me to do something again for free, to me is the most asinine thing I could ever possibly think of. But guess what I'm not going to do? Offer anything that deals with my time for free other than these fucking rants. So, don't like it, go watch something else. It is what it is. Now, for what we're actually on here for today is because I found some interesting reading. And why is it not pulling? There we go. And a lot of times people kind of get misinterpreted about what happened, because even like last night, I did something on purpose and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. I edited part of my last live where I streamed to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, because for some reason it kept crashing on Facebook. I have no idea why. Wouldn't let me stream on Facebook, so I had to figure out another way to do that. But I took pieces of the actual live, and I think it was a 2-minute piece, and I put it up. And the one thing that was funny to me was people like, oh, what happened? What happened? There was something that happened. I didn't see everything. And at the end of the video, it said the live is actually in the link in the description. I think about 10 people clicked the link in the description. So again, I'm giving that to you for free. I'm giving you direction for free. You're not utilizing. So if you're not taking advantage of something that's being given to you, that's your fault. So, but there's a video I did about 2 weeks back. I think when I first got to Houston. Well, actually, I posted it about 2 weeks back, but I did it when I first got to Houston, and it's the one with the 50 Cent intro. And What it dealt with was the actual details of a 1982 and the the application of it and how it works through all that good stuff. And what I'm going to do is afterwards I'm going to add a link into that video. But today I'm going to go into Mateus v. Agarano. And it's a 2011 case. Well, it actually started in 2011, but it was actually flipped over a few times and then brought back and finally decided in 2017, because the original concept of the inquiry was they were trying to sue them in their official capacity because of excessive force. But it brings up the fact or the context of a man versus a woman, equal rights and equal protections. And the reason that's being stated was because even in Mateus, a valid excessive force arising from tasing by police officers. Because remember, I told you as alternative methods, they use a taser. Well, in this case, they were using it through excessive force. Now, the context was done through, these were females that these officers had tased. And the question I'm going to ask each and every one of you is, when you have a woman, and you, or actually if you are a woman and you're looking for equal rights, are you actually looking for equal rights? Now, because here's where a lot of the extra questions come in at. And it's simple for me because, you know, I'm a dude, I'm biased as hell because I have experienced a lot of different aspects of, hell, fucking brutality for the most part. But where in the context of we looking at, are men and women actually equal? And the one thing that comes up is I did literally 4 podcasts on Roe v. Wade, because most people think of the context of Roe v. Wade as abortion, when in fact Georgia v. Doe was the abortion portion of Roe v. Wade, because it was decided on the same day, and it also gave the grounds for what an abortion, or when abortion can take place. Now, Roe v. Wade dealt with the aspects of abortion. However, the decision was based on the right to use your body as you would like. Now, it becomes idea versus the application. The idea of Roe v. Wade is being preached as abortion. The actual application of Roe v. Wade is, I have the right to do what I want to with my body. I can have earrings, which I do, don't wear them. I have tattoos, which most people don't see them because they're not in places. They're all, you know, because I actually do business, so I can't be doing all that foolishness. And the other aspects is surgery, because whether we like it or not, an abortion is a surgical aspect. But here's the flip side of that. A man can't have an abortion. Now, for the most part, all else applies equally, except for the aspects of only a woman can have an abortion. So when you're talking about the application, because even when you're dealing with females and you're dealing with males in the policing instance, there are aspects that are going to be considered which will not be considered as a man versus a woman. Because when you're talking about the edging towards equal treatment of male and female plaintiffs in excessive force cases, the court analyzes at length urgency of the efforts of those who oppose protection treatment of the women. Because whether we like it or not, the aspects of life, we are taught that the woman is weaker. We look at bone density. We look at different things. We even look at testosterone levels, because testosterone is generally where strength is found. Men have higher levels of testosterone. So we look at also testosterone as levels of aggression. Men are considered more aggressive considering we have more testosterone. However, that takes away from the fact that a woman also has testosterone. Women also have elevated forms of testosterone at different portions in their life. And okay, hold on. What we got? What we got? Everybody want to call now. I'm actually busy. Stop. No, I'm just playing. Actually, no, I'm not, because I am busy. Anyway, but it's understanding the aspects of that. And then we go to the reasons. And this is where I talk to everyone about how to apply the things that I'm teaching. Because when we talk about what a police officer can and can't do, they look at the totality of circumstances. And we also have to look at the cases that deal with the situation. Well, when you're talking about this one young woman, Mateus, was tased because she refused to sign a citation. And I also did a video where I stated one cannot be forced to sign a citation because the citation itself is a contract. Even when they showed the attorney on TV, he literally stated the signing of a citation is a promise to appear. That's what a contract is. It's a promise or a guarantee. Those are things that you cannot be forced into because that is considered coercion, which voids the contract. Because if it's not signed, even the attorney stated, well, we really don't have no recourse, or even say that they're even going to come. Because again, you're signing a contract, because that's what that is. And one, understanding that is not a resisting. If I tell you I'm not going to sign the citation, that's not resisting. That's basically telling you you need to understand that if I sign that citation, you just committed a separation of powers violation, which means you're not even a police officer anymore, and you have just violated your oath in my rights. That's a civil rights violation. This is something I can sue them in their personal capacity, because you are no longer in the aspects of, oh my God, you're no longer in the aspects of a government agent. So, come on, get off. Yep, get your ass over here. All right. But there are actions where, when you're talking about the police officers and their rush to tase, generally when you're talking about, the aspects of what they are allowed to do, I talk about don't go into details. You talk about the infraction. The infraction is actually the violation of the, let me back up a little bit because I want to make sure I catch you. When you're sitting out there and you're stopped for a traffic infraction, right? That's legal. The stop is 100% legal. We have a Supreme Court case that states that. Now the officer has an opportunity for officer discretion. The discretion is to violate their oath by performing a judicial duty, because they take their oath as an executive officer. An executive officer cannot perform judicial duties. Now, writing that citation with a court date on it is a violation or the practice of a judicial duty. So once they do that, they are no longer officers of the court or officers of the law, because they have just violated your civil rights by officer discretion. Because that's why I state, in order to lose qualified immunity, you now need for them to perform a willful act, which means they know what they're doing is wrong and they do it anyway, which is writing the fucking citation, or they do it through ignorance because they're enforcing policy, or it's common practice, which again is not law. And again, ignorance is not an excusable defense. Those are the ways you lose. Okay, what's up, Danny? This is where you lose qualified immunity. So when you perform through officer discretion the writing of the citation, that is the violation. That is all that needs to happen. Hey, I was stopped for a traffic infraction. This is what happened. This is the court case that actually states he can't do that. This is the remedy I'm looking for. Next step, because everything that happens afterwards then becomes an illegal act, because a legal act cannot follow an illegal one. Because once something illegal happens, everything beyond that is illegal. And their actions were then objectively unreasonable. And everyone has the right to be free from such force as clearly established law. Because remember, I told you those are the things that set up for the qualified immunity. Clearly established. Clearly established would be the court cases, the Supreme Court cases. These are the things that say, hey, you know you shouldn't do this because it's been decided. A precedent has been set. These are things that can't be undone. And also, when you're talking about it, the whole aspect of it, because I also tell you, get the police report because you can't argue against you. In their police report, they're going to have to make note of certain things, such as the number of times they discharged their taser or the number of cartridges used in their taser, because that's when it comes back from property, because they also have to register them. Now, I often tell people most times the reason they pull out their taser and they're hesitant is because the brain remembers two things: pleasure, pain. They have all been tased to be certified to carry a taser. So that's why they're hesitant, because it is against nature. Their body is physically remembering the pain from a taser, which is why it is more difficult for them to actually discharge it than it is a pistol, because none of them bastards have been shot. And I say, if you're going to shock somebody with the taser, and that's how you're going to get certified, vest up and get shot in the chest with that goddamn 9mm. And let's see how many people start getting shot. Because they'll be more reluctant to pull it out, because then life is more valued. Because if you have 7 to 9 non-lethal weapons, why is your first response to grab your one lethal weapon? The one that takes life. If your job literally is to preserve life, why is the first thing you grab is something that takes it? Those are things I always ask, because again, if that's your mindset, you don't need to have on a uniform. And then the flip side of that is when you're understanding the facts that they are going to tell you how many times they discharged that taser, you also need to have medical history. These are things that need to be taken care of immediately, because the longer you wait, because just like even when they talk about rape kits, why'd you take a shower? Why'd you do? Because again, the body starts healing the moment it touches water, because our body is 75 and 80% water. Water is one thing that heals the body. So the moment your body touches water, it begins to heal. So understanding those aspects is doing the service of getting checked immediately when these things happen. And here's the thing that often gets me, because a lot of times you'll hear about a police officer, they'll tase somebody, and then you also at the same time, while they're discharging the taser, or you can hear the taser, they're yelling, put your arms up, put your arms up, put your arms up. The taser is actually designed to lock your joints and cause you to be stiff. They know this. They've been through this, yet they still yell this. Why? I'm going to go into that later, because again, they're looking for an excuse, because they're not looking to preserve life. They're not looking to do their job properly. They're even not trained to do their job properly. They're looking for an excuse to expend pain on someone. They're looking for an excuse to find something easy, like these motherfuckers that want me to give them something without them giving up something. And this is also why I talk about, I'm actually looking at my notes so, y'all can see that. Can y'all see that? Got my little notes. So I ain't just talking out my ass. But it also why I did a video about facts. Only deal with the facts, and only dealing with the aspects of doing what is necessary. Don't put in all these details, because the devil's in the detail. The details are needed for trial, because that's when you're painting the picture. That's when your audience is there for you. So during the complaint, that is not the time for details. And oftentimes you'll have an aspect or a time where you're going to be sitting down and you're going to go through a lot of things, and one of the options that you're going to have is a 3-panel judge system. Now, what most people don't know is when you have a 3-panel judge, their decisions can be overruled if they don't go in your favor, and there is law that support the reasons why it should be, which will make it clearly established. And it's called rehearing in banque, or bank. What did I say? Banque? Bank. E-N, separation, B-A-N-C. Now, basically, that just means, to rehear. So, and what it does is just like starting from scratch in that aspect, because you're not using their ruling, but it does not go back to the original scratch, which I talked about a couple of days ago in the other Latin law video. But then we talk about how everything is set up, and it's set up in Graham v. Conn. And the test requires a fact-specific injury that focuses on the severity of the crime at issue. That's one. Because remember, we're just talking about the aspects and the efficiency of what's going on and how it's going on. So, understanding just the specificities of why they were interacting with you, right? That's one. And then whether the suspect poses an imminent threat to the safety of the officers or others, and whether he is actively resisting arrest. Notice that, because again, that's the only time a taser can be discharged, is during the active resistance of arrest. And I told you, resisting arrest requires someone that is actively or intentionally causing bodily harm or injury to the officers or others, and trying to escape. Because if you're just beating somebody's ass to be beating their ass, you ain't going nowhere. That's not resisting. That's just handing out something somebody asking for. But again, what most people fail to realize is why they always yell, "Oh, I'm in fear for my life," but their body language says something completely different. Because they need justification for doing something they have no business doing in the first beginning. Because again, I talk about the fact that their one job is to preserve life. Denzel Washington even told you that in Training Day. First job, preservation of life. But the first reaction is to grab something that takes life. Let that sink in. Because I want you to understand, these are the things that are being enacted. These are the things that are being trained. These are the things that people are going through. And unfortunately, there's no differentiation from it. Because imminent, immediate, what causes the immediate? Because even Tennessee versus Gardner, you see them shooting at vehicles all the time. However, they're not supposed to be shooting at a vehicle unless there's something other than the vehicle being used. Okay, here go a good one, Jerome Garcia. Why you worrying about it, baby? Because see, Jerome Garcia is one of those people I appreciate. He just came over here to troll. I love you, Jerome. Well, actually, my bad. I just got off subject because I just happened to read that, because Jerome is one of those people who doesn't want to. He's one of those people that just don't want to do anything. He wants everything for free. It's cool. But anyway, it's understanding that the resistance requires injury or an attempt to escape. And what happens is a lot of times you look at different facts of it. And one of the things is the totality of circumstances, because even when you look at totality of circumstances, I talked about the number of times the officer discharged the taser. I also talked about the action of resisting arrest. And one of the things that go into and not even in the access of details, comes from their police report, because they'll note times and time limits and time frames. And this is why you ask for video and audio unedited, and those things have to be present, because a lot of times I actually had a young man that requested video from a 30-minute stop. He got a whole 18 seconds. Had another young man who had spotty audio. And then you look at the fact that when you are going through this, the law has an idea of going through certain things and setting up certain malfeasance. And one of those would be, is the subject you're dealing with poses a threat? And I know I started off with the ladies and gentlemen, but I'm gonna get back to that, because this is where the levels change, because these are the aspects of what's being taught and what's being etched into one's brains, and which is why there's a very vast differentiation about our legal plane is going. So just bear with me a little bit. Like I said, I took a couple of notes. Because when there are no exigent circumstances, the police officer bears the responsibility for escalating the incident. Because a lot of times, even whenever I'm having a conversation with a police officer, most people don't know this, but even as someone that wasn't an Army official, I understand what parade rest is. Hands behind your back, legs separated. Why? Because you're in a non-threatening or non-combative or non-defensive or offensive stance. Because if you're sitting there with your arms behind your back and you have your legs spread, there is no threat. You've eliminated every threat possibility. Now, a lot of times they'll use that for a means to do something mischievous. Why? Because they're allowed to deceive. Why? Because these good people don't do the things properly that they're supposed to do. And most people don't understand the culpability of police officers, because in most cases they use the word like overwhelmingly salient. SALIENT. And salient means most noticeable or important. And that's why the totality of circumstances come in. That's why the STEP program is in place. Was there a danger? Was there an action? Was this a felony? Because remember I told you one of the portions for a police officer to be even interacting is the commission of a felony. Was there a felony? Was there a reason for escalation? Because if there was not any of these things present, then the officer bears the responsibility for escalating the situation. And even in the context, the active resistance, I want you to keep that in mind. The active resistance is one thing that most people go ahead and try to overlook, because males aren't supposed to be frisking females because of the underlying gender roles that we have in the country. Because at the end of the day, there is something etched in us that leads us to believe that males are more powerful than females. Police officers respond the exact same way, because if you have a domestic situation, which one of these were, one of the people in this case was part of they used a case from a domestic violence case that happened in, I believe it was in Hawaii or somewhere else. Police believe women require more protection from police violence than men do. That's how they're trained. Because if you have a situation where you have a man and a woman, and they're sitting at that situation, and there is a altercation, there's a physical altercation. In Georgia at one point, if the female said, hey, he hit me, don't have to have a mark on him, that man is going to jail. Is that fair? Because if the man says, hey, she hit me, she scratched me, the man is generally told, hey, just leave the house. She doesn't go to jail, he just needs to leave the house. But if she says, he hit me, automatically he goes to jail for domestic violence. So now, when you understanding the context of why that is, it's because they're believed to be weaker. They're responding as they are weaker. And one that that needs the protection, are we talking about an equal act? Because here's where we talk about cases where men are involved in quote unquote domestic situations. You can use cases that deal with equal protection rights. These are some of the things that most people don't get. And I don't know. Okay. But at the end of the day, these are the questions that are being brought up. Why? Because even in case law, women are protected more than men are. Because even one thing that I've learned, because you hear me talk often about, I'm 6'4", 275, I'm close to about 280, 290 now, because I've been eating on this quarantine. I've been eating, brother, been eating. But you talk about body type and gender. Because even when I talked about the police officer in Chicago that shot the 16-year-old boy that was autistic, they used the reference of how tall this young man was, and they kept using the word man. They were talking about his physical appearance because they wanted the police officer to have sympathy. Oh, it was a large man. It was a large man. It was a large man. No, it was a 16-year-old child. Regardless of how tall, I don't give a shit if he was 7'9". He was still a child. And those are the things that are being placed into because they want police justification for police violence. They're going to use that because even in the case of Eric Gardner, they talked about how big Eric Gardner was. Talked about Michael Brown. They talked about how big Michael Brown was. You forget about Michael Brown, 16 years old. Regardless of how big he was or if he was stealing gum, they talked about how big this 16-year-old child was. And then when we talked about Amber Geiger, they kind of blew off the fact that she went in somebody else's house. She talked about how big Botham Jean was. How big this man was on this small woman. She's in somebody else's house. And at the end of the day, had he shot her, he would have gone to jail. Even though it was his house that she went into, that she did not have permission to be there. Because again, the gender roles is even the case law to support the protection of women. And just being uncooperative and dangerous as men is not something that most police officers are trained. Because if you look, because even look at something as simple as live PD, you often see women kicking and screaming and throwing their hands and throwing stuff and running, and the police officers kind of giggling and laughing. Just get on in the back. She's being a little bit rambunctious. But the same guy does that, or a guy looks like he's going to do that. There's a gun in his face, and there's 19 police officers. Why is that? Same response, except from the police. A man acts the exact same way a woman does. He gets shot. He gets tased. He gets beaten by multiple officers. A woman acts like that. She gets restrained and put in the car. Because there is even context of understanding that if there is a disagreement and let's say there is a physical fight, the woman's hitting on a man and he grabs her and holds her. Guess what he's probably going to do to her? He's going to bruise her by trying to hold her still. The police come, they see the bruise, he's going to jail. These are things that most people don't take into context because they don't understand that even the legal system is designed to protect the woman. And women are less responsible for their interactions with police they're less responsible for their interactions with police versus their male counterparts. Now, again, these are those things that I just spoke about. Because even when you have the context of physical resistance, even when you have the context of, hell, being uncooperative, the response from the police is different. Now, the question is, do we really have an equal standard? Is there really an equal right? Is there really equal protection? Now, that question is being asked simply because I want y'all to answer. I want y'all to, just like my boy, what's his name? Hold on, cause I'm gonna pull that one up. Just like my boy Jerome Garcia. Put something as stupid as you like in the comments, cause I'm gonna respond to them. I appreciate all of them. And I want you guys to know I love you. I'll see you later. I'll actually have some good shit on later. So, Supreme out. Boom and boom. Stop. And where we at? Hold on. I got to shit it over.